Off-grid living is exploding, but not in the places you think. While everyone is busy chasing overpriced land in overhyped states, a completely different reality is unfolding quietly in the background. There are places in America where land is affordable, building codes won't give you a migraine, neighbors mind their business, and you can actually live comfortably without plugging into the chaos of modern life. Yet somehow, nobody talks about them. That's right. Not the loud states, not the trendy states, and definitely not the ones influencers won't stop bragging about. These are the underrated corners of the country where you can run solar, raise chickens, build a cabin, grow your food, and sleep at night without wondering if the zoning department is plotting against you. And the strangest part? These states have been hiding in plain sight. As cost of living rises, utility bills spike, and urban stress becomes a borderline Olympic sport, more Americans are quietly slipping away into off-grid lifestyles, not because they want to escape society, but because they want peace, space, and freedom that doesn't drain their life savings. And yes, some states make that a whole lot easier than others. Today, we're counting down the top 10 states for comfortable off-grid living. Nobody talks about the places where comfort meets affordability and freedom meets practicality. Welcome to Mr. Globe TV, where we break down the real data, expose the hidden gems, and help you make smarter decisions about where to live next. Before we dive in, hit like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell, because you're not going to want to miss the states coming up on this list. Number 10, Arkansas. If you're the kind of person who wants off-grid life without giving up running water, breathable summers, or the ability to drive into town without a 3-hour expedition, Arkansas might just surprise you. It's one of those states people joke about, but the joke usually comes from people who have never stepped foot outside Little Rock's airport. Because here's the secret. Arkansas is quietly one of the best places in the country for comfortable, realistic, modern off-grid living, the kind nobody brags about online, because they don't want the crowds. Start with land prices. In Arkansas, you can still get acres, actual acres, for less than what a parking space costs in Portland. Rural counties offer wooded plots, rolling hills, rivers, creeks, and pastureland at prices that make you look twice to see if it's a typo. It's one of the few states where the dream of affordable build-it-yourself homesteading is not a fantasy, it's Tuesday. Then there's the climate. Arkansas sits in that tasty sweet spot where you get 4 seasons without sliding into weather extremes. You'll get hot summers, sure, but not Arizona hot. Winters get cold, but not Minnesota cold. And the best part? The state gets plenty of rainfall, meaning your rain catchment system actually catches something, and you're not praying to the clouds every week like off-gridders in the Southwest. Arkansas also ranks surprisingly high in natural resources. Freshwater? Everywhere. Timber? Everywhere. Wildlife? Let's just say if you ever get hungry, the forest has options. And with a mix of mountains, valleys, forests, and rivers, you can pick your preferred landscape like you're choosing a background in a video game. Regulations are another big win. In many rural counties, off-grid living isn't just tolerated, it's normal. Septic systems, solar setups, wells, and composting solutions are part of everyday life. You won't get a side eye for wanting to build a small cabin, start a garden, or raise chickens. In fact, your neighbors might wander over to give you free tomatoes and unsolicited advice about which goat breed is least dramatic. And community? Arkansas shines here. Once people realize you're not just a weekend tourist with a drone, they treat you like family. The kind of family that shows up with a homemade pie, but also warns you about the raccoons that act like they pay rent. Of course, no place is perfect. Tornadoes? Occasionally. Humidity? Present. Bugs? Motivated. But when you weigh the low cost of living, the natural beauty, the friendly locals, and the freedom to truly live off the grid, Arkansas easily earns its spot on this list. Number 9. Maine. If your idea of comfortable off-grid living leans more toward pine forests, crisp air, solitude, and the occasional moose wandering past your window like it owns the place, Maine is your state. This is the corner of America where people don't just live off-grid, they've been doing it so long that it's practically part of the birth certificate. Maine isn't loud, flashy, or oversold on TikTok. It's rugged, real, and refreshingly underhyped. Start with the land. Maine has space. actual, genuine, real space. It's one of the most sparsely populated states in the country, and you can feel it the moment you cross into the northern half, where the ratio of people to pine trees is something like 1 to 14,000. Land is still surprisingly affordable, especially in Aroostook, Somerset, and Piscataquis counties. If you want privacy, this is where you disappear in the best possible way. Then there's the water situation. Unlike the Southwest, where off-grid residents collect rainwater like it's liquid gold, Maine practically throws water at you. Lakes, rivers, streams, wells, pick your source. The state gets ample rainfall and snowfall, which is excellent for water independence, and even better for those who love lush greenery all summer. Speaking of seasons, yes, Maine winters are no joke, but they are consistent, predictable, and dry enough to be manageable. Plus, Mainers have mastered winter living to an Olympic-level skill set. Wood stoves, generators, insulation, and the cultural understanding that surviving winter is a team sport. It's all standard. And once the snow melts, you get mild, breezy summers with temperatures that politely stay under melting human range. When it comes to energy, Maine is a solar sleeper hit. It's not Arizona, but with long summer daylight hours and solid net metering policies, solar systems perform well here. Many off-gridders also combine solar with wood burning, propane, and small-scale wind. Maine quietly lets you choose your own energy adventure. The real charm of Maine off-grid living lies in the culture. People mind their own business, but will absolutely help you if they see you shoveling snow like it's your first day on Earth. Communities are practical, self-reliant, and down-to-earth, with the kind of modest pride you expect from people who can fix a tractor and fillet a fish in the same afternoon. And unlike many parts of the US, living simply isn't viewed as weird here. It's normal. Of course, Maine has challenges: long winters, limited cell service in rural zones, and the occasional black bear that thinks your compost pile is an all-you-can-eat buffet. But if you want peace, affordability, water security, and a strong off-grid culture, Maine quietly checks every box. Number 8. West Virginia. West Virginia is the kind of place where the mountains are high, the valleys are quiet, and the number of people who know how to fix a generator with duct tape and determination is surprisingly impressive. If you're looking for affordable, peaceful, and genuinely comfortable off-grid living, you may not need to look any farther than the Mountain State. A destination almost purpose-designed for people who want space, freedom, and a slower, more grounded lifestyle. Start with the geography. West Virginia is 80% forest, making it one of the most wooded states in the entire country. Translation: privacy comes baked into the landscape. Whether you choose a ridge, a hollow, or a plot near the river, you're guaranteed a front-row seat to some of the quietest, greenest scenery in America. And the land? Still remarkably affordable compared to most of the U.S. Rural counties like Clay, Lincoln, and McDowell offer acreage prices that feel like they escaped inflation entirely. But West Virginia's real superpower is water. The state is blessed with countless springs, streams, and rivers, which makes water independence practically effortless. While people in the Southwest argue over every drop, West Virginians are over here deciding whether they want a creek-fed system or a deep spring well. Rainfall is plentiful too, so catchment systems thrive. Energy independence also works comfortably here. The state's rolling hills actually create excellent spots for both solar and micro-wind setups. Summers have long, sunny stretches, and winter sunlight, while softer, is still workable. Pair solar with a wood stove, which almost every household already has, and you're pretty much set. West Virginia winters are cold but manageable, especially if your house is insulated well and your firewood pile looks like a small mountain. Now the culture is where West Virginia shines. People are friendly in a way that feels genuine, not forced. They don't care if you live off-grid, on-grid, or somewhere in between, as long as you wave when you drive by. Self-reliance runs deep here, but so does neighborly support. Need a tool? Someone nearby probably has 3. Need help splitting wood? Don't be surprised if someone shows up with a chainsaw before you even ask. Of course, no place is perfect. The terrain can be steep, internet can be spotty outside towns, and the wildlife occasionally includes a black bear who thinks your blueberry bushes belong to him. But these are minor quirks in a state that gives you low land costs, natural resources, peaceful living, and the freedom to build your lifestyle without a homeowners association tracking your every move. West Virginia is quiet, overlooked, affordable, and shockingly ideal for off-grid life. The kind of place where your lungs breathe easier, your days feel slower, and your soul forgets what rush hour traffic even looks like. Number 7. New Mexico. New Mexico is one of the few places in America where going off-grid isn't a fringe experiment. It's almost a cultural rhythm. This is a state where artists, ranchers, retirees, homesteaders, and quiet life enthusiasts all coexist under skies so wide they look photoshopped. And if you're looking for affordable land, generous sun, relaxed building rules, and a lifestyle that doesn't require elbowing through crowds, New Mexico makes a surprisingly strong case. For starters, land here is genuinely attainable. In many rural counties, think Taos, Mora, Catron, or parts of Valencia, you can still find acres for the price of a used SUV. The combination of low population density and vast open stretches means your nearest neighbor might be a mile away, or a mule deer. Either way, solitude is never in short supply. Sunlight is New Mexico's not-so-secret weapon. This state gets over 300 days of sun per year, making it one of the best places in the entire country for solar energy. Off-grid solar systems thrive here because the sun practically does all the work. In other words, if you want a state where your power source won't ghost you, New Mexico is your friend. Water, on the other hand, is something you plan for. Many off-gridders rely on water catchment, wells, delivery, or storage tanks, but that's part of the charm. New Mexico pushes you to be resourceful without making life impossible. And for folks who enjoy living closer to nature with a more intentional footprint, that's a big plus. One of New Mexico's most underrated assets is its building freedom. In certain counties, alternative homes, earthships, cob houses, straw bale structures, and solar passive designs aren't just allowed, they're celebrated. Taos is home to the world-famous earthship biotecture community, proving you can live comfortably, sustainably, and stylishly off-grid without sacrificing modern conveniences. The cost of living is comfortably below the national average, healthcare access is better than many expect, and the climate, while dry, is far kinder than the scorching stereotype. Summers are warm, winters are manageable, and the high desert climate gives you 4 seasons without the extremes. Add in breathtaking landscapes, desert mesas, volcanic fields, red rock canyons, ponderosa forests, and mountain ranges that belong on postcards, and New Mexico feels almost like a reward for people who choose simplicity. If your goal is to go off-grid without giving up comfort, community, or creativity, New Mexico quietly delivers. It's peaceful, affordable, sun-soaked, and welcoming to people who want to build a life outside the usual system. Number 6. Kentucky. Kentucky may not be the first state people think of when they picture off-grid living, but that's exactly why it deserves a spot on this list. It's the quiet achiever, the state that minds its business, keeps its land affordable, and lets you build the life you want without a stack of permits thick enough to stop a bullet. And when it comes to natural beauty, Kentucky is one of those states that's constantly showing off without even trying. Let's start with the land. In rural counties, especially in the Appalachian foothills and western farmland, you can still find acreage at prices that make coastal Americans question their entire life choices. We're talking real space, wooded hills, open fields, streams, wild game, and enough privacy for anyone trying to unplug from the modern circus. Living off-grid here isn't just possible, it's practical. Kentucky's climate is a comfortable middle ground. You get 4 seasons without extremes, which is a blessing if you're running solar, using wood heat, or growing your own food. The soil here is fertile, some of the best in the country, making gardening feel less like a battle and more like a partnership with nature. If you've ever wanted a homestead with a pantry full of your own tomatoes, beans, and berries, Kentucky gives you a real chance at it. The state's building codes vary widely by county, and in many rural areas, they're refreshingly relaxed. That means tiny homes, modular builds, pole barns, and self-designed cabins are all on the table. Want to experiment with rainwater catchment or live on a private well? Perfectly normal. Want to heat with wood and install a composting toilet? Kentucky shrugs and says, go for it. Cost of living is another major win. Groceries, land, utilities, and services are all below the national average. Property taxes stay low too. And when you're building a life off-grid, every saved dollar feels like a small victory. And that Southern hospitality stereotype? It's real. Rural Kentucky communities tend to be helpful, friendly, and genuinely interested in who you are, not where you came from. If you're looking for a state where you can build a peaceful life, raise a small garden, run your own systems, and actually know your neighbors, Kentucky checks every box. We are halfway through the countdown. If you're enjoying the journey so far, and discovering states most people never consider, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to Mr. Globe TV. It helps the channel grow and ensures you never miss the hidden gems, underrated states, and off-grid opportunities we uncover next. Number 5. Tennessee. Tennessee is one of those states that slips under the radar. Not because it lacks appeal, but because the people who've already discovered it don't talk too loudly. And honestly, who can blame them? When you've got low taxes, mild weather, mountain backdrops, clean water sources, and land that doesn't require you to win the lottery, it's tempting to keep the secret to yourself. Let's start with one of the biggest perks: no state income tax. That alone gives Tennessee a head start over more famous off-grid states. Every dollar saved is a dollar you can put into solar panels, a rainwater system, a wood-burning stove, or the goats you absolutely swore you didn't need. Until you moved off-grid. Land affordability is another major attraction. In rural counties, think the Cumberland Plateau, the Smoky Mountain foothills, and West Tennessee farmland, you can still get several acres without needing a finance degree to understand the loan terms. Forested lots, rolling hills, natural springs, and build-ready clearings are abundant, meaning you can choose your terrain like you're shopping for a new favorite personality. The climate is one of the most underrated factors. Tennessee gets 4 seasons, but none of them are aggressive. Winters are cold enough for a cozy cabin fire, but not so brutal that your pipes threaten to unionize. Summers are warm and humid, just enough to remind you you're alive, but long-growing seasons make gardening incredibly rewarding. Tomatoes, squash, herbs, greens, apples, berries, Tennessee practically hands you a farmer's market every year. Now let's talk building freedom. Rural counties tend to have minimal building codes and flexible regulations. If you want a tiny home, a pole barn conversion, a modular cabin, or something you sketched on a napkin at 2 a.m., Tennessee is usually happy to let you make it happen. Wells and septic systems are common, rainwater harvesting is easy to implement, and wood heat is culturally normal, not a quirky character trait. Another underrated perk is the abundant natural water sources. Springs, streams, creeks, and rivers run through the state with surprising reliability, especially in the eastern regions. For an off-grid lifestyle, that's liquid gold. The people? Let's just say Tennessee hospitality comes with a smile, a wave, and occasionally a plate of something fried. Rural communities are used to newcomers seeking peace, land, and independence. So as long as you respect the land and the culture, you'll fit in just fine. Healthcare access, farmers markets, local craftsmanship, and modern conveniences round out the state's surprising balance between solitude and practicality. You can be off the grid without feeling like you've dropped off the planet. Tennessee isn't loud, flashy, or trying to impress anyone. It simply works beautifully for people craving freedom, affordability, and a peaceful life rooted in nature. Number 4. Arizona. Arizona is one of those states people think they understand. Dry desert, blistering heat, and maybe a cactus or two giving side-eye. But anyone who's actually dug into its off-grid potential knows it's one of the most comfortable, practical, and self-sufficient places to unplug from the world. If you're trying to disappear without actually living in the Stone Age, Arizona quietly checks nearly every box. Let's start with the state's unofficial superpower. Sunlight. Not the timid, peek through the clouds kind, but the full-strength industrial-grade sunshine that turns solar panels into overachievers. Arizona gets more than 300 sunny days a year, which means your off-grid system works overtime without demanding overtime pay. For anyone hoping to run a fridge, a well pump, lights, and maybe even a sneaky air conditioning unit, the state is basically one massive natural battery. Then there's the land. Cheap acreage, minimal restrictions, and lots of wide-open space make Arizona a dream for anyone who wants room to breathe. and to build whatever kind of off-grid setup their imagination and wallet can handle. Counties like Cochise, Yavapai, and Mojave have become unofficial headquarters for homesteaders, retirees, and off-grid nomads who want affordability without sacrificing quality of life. But what really surprises people is how comfortable off-grid living can be here. Despite its desert reputation, Arizona's climate is far more diverse than most people think. Northern areas like Flagstaff and Prescott offer pine forests, cooler temperatures, and actual winters, while the high desert regions provide mild seasons without the scorching furnace-style summers the state is famous for. It's basically a choose-your-own-climate adventure. Water is the concern most people bring up. And yes, Arizona is dry. But that's exactly why locals take water systems so seriously. Rain harvesting is common. Deep wells are still viable in many rural areas, and modern storage systems make managing supply much easier than in past decades. Off-grid residents have turned water efficiency into a science, proving you don't need to live like a cactus just because the weather thinks you are one. The best part? Arizona's communities, both on-grid and off, tend to be friendly, resourceful, and supportive. This isn't a state where people look at you strangely for living off-grid. If anything, they might ask you where you got your solar setup and whether you've checked the price of land 2 counties over. Between the sunshine, the affordability, the freedom, and the sheer amount of beautiful open land, Arizona quietly delivers one of the best off-grid lifestyles in the country, without demanding you sacrifice comfort or convenience. If there's a place built for self-sufficiency that still feels like an upgrade, this is it. Number 3. Alabama. Alabama is one of those states people tend to overlook until they realize the perks are almost too good to be real. While the neighbors get all the attention, Alabama quietly offers everything an off-grid lifestyle needs. Cheap land, abundant water, mild winters, long growing seasons, and some of the lightest regulations in the southeastern U.S. It's like the state is standing in the corner, casually whispering, "You want freedom? We've had it all along." Start with land prices, which are among the lowest east of the Mississippi. Rural counties across central and southern Alabama offer acres of wooded land, pasture, or rolling terrain for a fraction of what you'd pay in Tennessee, Georgia, or the Carolinas. For off-grid newcomers, this is huge, because whether you want to build a DIY cabin, haul in a tiny home, set up a homestead, or live out of a converted bus, Alabama won't ask you for your life savings. Then there's the climate. Winters are gentle, rarely threatening to freeze your water lines or test your emergency firewood stash. Summers are warm, yes, humid too, but that humidity means lush vegetation, abundant wild food sources, and a growing season that stretches nearly 9 months in much of the state. If your dream includes a thriving garden without a greenhouse, Alabama checks the box proudly. One of the biggest off-grid advantages? Water. The state is loaded with it. Rivers, creeks, springs, lakes. Alabama could practically sell water to other states. Rainwater harvesting is highly effective. Well drilling is typically affordable, and freshwater sources are everywhere. When you're building a self-reliant lifestyle, reliable water isn't just nice, it's essential. Regulations in rural counties are often refreshingly relaxed. Building codes are flexible, and many areas allow wells, septic systems, composting toilets, and alternative housing with minimal friction. You get the freedom to design your setup your way. Solar arrays, wood stoves, rain catchment, root cellars, livestock, gardens, you name it. And let's be honest, Southern hospitality is real. In rural Alabama, neighbors look out for each other without hovering. You'll get space when you want it, community when you need it, and plenty of friendly waves from folks who appreciate people choosing the quiet life. Just be respectful of the land and the culture, and you'll fit right in. Security is another plus. Rural Alabama tends to have low crime, especially in agricultural regions. Small towns are calm, affordable, and deeply community-oriented. A good combination when you're building a simpler, slower lifestyle. Here's what ties it all together. Alabama is a place where off-grid living isn't a rebellious lifestyle, it's just a normal one. People grow their own food, heat with wood, repair their own homes, and rely on nature, because that's how it's been done for generations. Alabama may not shout for attention, but it absolutely deserves a spot in the top 3. If you're looking for affordability, freedom, warmth, water, and a lifestyle that feels like a deep breath, Alabama delivers it all, quietly and confidently. Number 2, Missouri. If you're looking for an off-grid life that's sustainable, peaceful, and surprisingly easy on the wallet, Missouri is one of the best-kept secrets in America. Let's start with the land prices. Missouri offers some of the most affordable rural acreage east of the Rockies, especially in the Ozark region. You're talking large wooded plots, rolling hills, freshwater springs, and enough space to point in any direction and say, "That's all mine," without needing a billionaire bank account. And the best part? Much of it is unrestricted land, which in off-grid language means build a cabin, park an RV, raise goats, or start a tomato empire. Nobody's showing up with a clipboard asking for permits written in triplicate. Missouri's climate also hits that sweet spot where you get 4 actual seasons, but not the kind that try to kill you. Winters are cold but manageable. Summers are warm, but not Arizona warm. And spring and fall? Perfect. The kind of perfect that inspires people to sit on porches and talk about the weather like it's a national sport. For off-gridders, that means solar power works well, gardening thrives, and rainwater collection doesn't require desperate prayers. Then there's the water situation. While many states in the West are practically wrestling over their last drop, Missouri is one of the most water-secure states in the country. The Ozarks alone hold over 1,100 miles of shoreline, more than the entire coast of California. Streams, creeks, lakes, natural springs. Ask anyone who's lived here long enough and they'll tell you Missouri practically leaks water in every direction, which is a huge win for off-grid sustainability. Utilities and energy independence? Missouri is relaxed. In many counties, you don't need to jump through hoops to install composting toilets, private wells, or off-grid solar systems. Local governments generally operate under the philosophy of, if you're not bothering us, we're not bothering you. Refreshing, right? Cost of living is another secret weapon. Groceries, fuel, property taxes, and healthcare sit comfortably below the national average. And the communities, especially in rural Missouri, are famously welcoming without being nosy. People mind their business, but will absolutely lend you a wrench, a tractor, or a slice of pie if you seem like a decent human. Missouri also has a strong agricultural backbone, which translates to excellent farmers markets, local produce, and a huge number of people who know how to grow or fix just about anything. If you ever get stuck, odds are your nearest neighbor is both friendly and capable. Missouri isn't flashy. It's not trying to be the next trendy homestead influencer location. It simply works. It provides the land, the laws, the resources, and the freedom, quietly, consistently, and affordably. Number 1, Idaho. Idaho is the state people whisper about, but never loudly recommend, mostly because those who discover it want to keep it to themselves. It's the perfect blend of wilderness, affordability, resource security, and personal freedom, all wrapped in one of the most underrated landscapes in the country. If you're looking for comfortable off-grid living, Idaho isn't just a contender, it's the blueprint. Start with the geography. Idaho is basically the poster child for natural abundance. Towering pines, deep forests, clean rivers, high plains, and mountain valleys that look like someone forgot to add humans to the scene. There's no better state for anyone who wants to step off the grid without feeling like they've stepped off the planet. The air is clean, the views are endless, and the wildlife often acts like it owns the place, because it does. Land prices, while rising, are still remarkably reasonable outside the famous spots like Coeur d'Alene or Boise. Drive 45 minutes outward, and you'll find dozens of rural counties where you can buy acreage big enough to build a home, grow food, raise livestock, and disappear into your own peaceful routine. And here's the kicker. Idaho is loaded with counties that don't care if you want solar, a well, a wood stove, a garden the size of a football field, or a composting setup that would confuse a city inspector. The culture leans heavily towards self-reliance and personal responsibility, which is exactly what off-grid folks crave. Water security is one of Idaho's strongest advantages. This is a state defined by rivers, Salmon, Snake, Clearwater, Payette, plus hundreds of lakes, streams, and aquifers. Even in dry years, Idaho isn't the place running scare campaigns about water shortages. If anything, the state is so water-rich that many off-grid residents rely on gravity-fed spring systems or wells that don't require complicated engineering. The climate also hits a sweet balance: snowy winters, lush springs, warm summers, and crisp, cool falls. Yes, winters can be cold in the mountains, but they're predictable. And predictable weather is exactly what off-grid homesteaders want when planning solar power, heating, and food storage. Then there's the culture. Idaho is one of the most off-grid friendly states in America, not because it advertises it, but because people here value independence. Rural communities tend to be tight-knit, supportive, and respectful of privacy. You can live quietly, work your land, and stay under the radar without feeling like every project requires a signed affidavit from 6 government departments. Cost of living? Low. Outdoor recreation? Endless. Stability? Strong. Quality of life? Surprisingly high. If your ideal retirement or lifestyle involves fresh air, elbow room, and the freedom to build life your way, Idaho is arguably the best place in the entire country to pull it off. We've finally reached the end of the countdown. From Arkansas to Idaho, this list proves one thing: comfortable off-grid living isn't just a dream reserved for survivalists or lottery winners. There are states quietly offering the land, freedom, and affordability to make it real. Thank you for watching and spending your time with me today. If you enjoyed this video, learned something new, or now have a few states you want to explore, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me which state surprised you the most.